I'm Zoe, playing Seth in the Vault Volumes, The Figure Upon the Hearth.
My name is Nick, and I'm playing the character of Gunther, who is the cinema manager.
Hi, my name is Ray Claridge, and I'm playing Grandy.
Hi, I'm Ava Wilkinson and I'm playing Charlie.
I'm Stu and my character's called Van.
This is the second Vault Volumes, The Figure Upon the Hearth. They're an anthology series of plays. I'm trying to do them all a little bit different. Last one was set in the bookshop. The lighting was brighter, everything was a bit more open, there was a song. This one is darker and I think it has a heavier meaning.
It's spooky and it gets more tense as it gets on, so it's like a lot of horror films, but there's not quite so much blood.
Keeps everyone on their toes because they're never quite sure what's going on, but it's also trying to hark back to olden times to a degree, almost Victorian.
Excitement, self-questioning, some wonderful bits of emotional roller coaster as the story carries on evolving, and I would say just an awful lot of fun and pleasure, because there's something about creepy supernatural stories which really tends to make the blood bubble. It's wonderful.
The play is very interesting. We're trying to sort of base a horror around a cinema scenario in which three employees get traumatized when they find out they're trapped in the cinema, and it poses some very interesting concepts about addiction and just basically sort of like overcoming your fears.
This one we see two different groups of characters within the cinema, and one of the participants came to me with a question which I hadn't actually thought about when I was writing, and I think it makes the story more interesting than what I originally intended for it to be. But we see these two groups of characters with their own struggles. I think one group more than the other, and I think apart from the lighting and the general theme, their own minds are actually the darkest.
I was quite intrigued when I read the script. It definitely keeps you up on your toes, I'd say, and there's a lot of twists and turns, so even at the very end it still ponders, like it takes you sort of think about it afterwards, because it's very interesting and there's a lot to unpack and a lot of sort of deeper meanings.
The fact that Gunther has a interchange or interaction with death himself, which I think is quite dramatic, quite scary, quite intense, but also there's lots of different aspects of the storyline and the characters in it that comes into play with the supernatural aspects of the storyline itself. And so the whole thing allows us to question ourselves, I think.
Charlie's very enthusiastic about like the book when she finds it, and even though Grandy doesn't say that you can't read it, he still tries and like forces him to.
My character fancies himself quite a bit. He's a little bit too obsessed with himself and his appearance.
He has a granddaughter, Charlie, and they come across a book, and he's very dubious about the book, but he reads Charlie a story from it.
Seth is very lazy and he doesn't really like his job, so a lot of the time we see him slacking about, and he's particularly obsessed with his phone, much to the annoyance of his fellow co-workers.
He strikes me as being that kind of like nightmare boss that we all have experienced at some point in our careers. He strikes me as someone who is rather officious, a little aggressive to try and hold his authority in place, but also I think that his life is probably a little out of his control, and that's one of the reasons why his character is so important to this part of the story.
Brandy's gonna be like telling the story, and then I'm gonna be playing Dollhouse, which I'll be reenacting it out.
The story is be careful what you wish for.
If there's something really spooky you find somewhere a bit spooky, just
So I think, even from my point of view, I think it could be ambiguous or have double meaning or different explanations of what's going on. So it keeps you in tenterhooks, certainly. I certainly think it's scary. Scares me.
I shouldn't take little kids along to see